Ladies and gentlemen, we are under attack. Our very way of life, our very existence is threatened. They have already taken over Washington. They continue to destroy our Constitution. It is time to take back our country now.
The Wise Conservative Show, bringing wisdom back to politics.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Wise Conservative Show. I am your host, Connor Wise. The number to call in is 909-297-5812. Once again, that number to call in is 909-297-5812. So, we're going to jump right into this. As you all know, I'm sure, we did just have recent attacks in Brussels, Belgium. Now, my co-host Dakota Wise did cover this extensively in his episode on Tuesday. However, I want to go over it again because a lot of developments have happened since the initial news reports that happened on Tuesday. So I'm going to take some time out of this recording to go over that issue again. So, reports have come out that these attacks were originally actually going to be happening on a nuclear site in Belgium. Authorities believe that these plans were changed due to the recent arrest of the suspect involved in the Paris attacks. They believe that these attacks were, in fact, moved up several months. So even with these plans changed kind of last minute, they just moved it up very quickly, these terrorists were still able to kill 34 innocent people. This really just shows how we cannot continue to pretend that Islam is a peaceful religion. People have tried to prove that Islam is peaceful. People have tried to prove that Islam is not going to hurt anyone. But time after time, radical Islamists, they attack our allies, they attack us. There are many verses in the Quran that says to kill all non-believers. There are many verses in the Quran that say to kill all infidels. You see, the left is trying to put us in danger right now. They are trying to say that Islam is a peaceful religion, but the facts point to Islam not being peaceful whatsoever. The facts point to Islam actually hurting us. The facts point to Islam hating every single one of us. We cannot continue to fool ourselves into thinking that this is a peaceful religion. Because it is not. ISIS is Islamic. ISIS wants to kill every single American that is not Muslim. They feel that our freedom, that our way of life does not fit into theirs, so they should have the right to be able to kill every single one of us. Now, multiple sources have said that more attacks are being planned in Europe right now. Authorities have acquired bits and pieces of plans, but they actually have never found enough to actually know when and where one of these attacks is going to be. ISIS has trained these insurgents very well. They know how to hide where their attacks are going to be. They know how to hide when their attacks are going to be. ISIS is not a JV team, as President Barack Obama claims. ISIS is extreme. They have trained these soldiers to know how to attack us, to know when to attack us, and how to attack us to do the most damage. Just today in Belgium, police have arrested 6 more people who are said to have been in the final stages of plotting out a new attack. This is just one other ring. There are there are thousands of rings, they believe, in this area that are actually planning attacks in all of Europe. They believe there are many, many ISIS sympathizers who are planning attacks at the moment. ISIS has sent out a new video that is urging all insurgents in Europe to find a way to attack. So we can see that at the moment, all of Europe is in danger. At the moment, the US is in danger. At the moment, we do not have a plan to be able to take out this horrible, evil group that is the Islamic State. And this is all due to President Barack Obama's failed policy. So we can see that this failed policy has hurt us, it has hurt our allies, and we have to change it. This is a prevalent issue that we must solve. We must start fighting ISIS now, before more attacks can happen. There have already been 3 large attacks since November. On November 13th, there were the deadly and bloody attacks in Paris. On December 2nd, the attacks in San Bernardino that killed 14 people. And now on March 22nd, the attacks that killed 34 in Brussels, Belgium. These 3 attacks happened in a very short amount of time. They are not taking long amounts of time to plan out these attacks. They are doing it rather quickly. We can see that if we do not start putting boots on the ground in the Middle East at this moment, then we are going to have more attacks. This is the only option. This is the only way we can save our allies and the only way we can save ourselves. We need a coalition of European nations as well as Arab nations in the region who know that ISIS is an issue to actually fight ISIS. This will be able to allow us to succeed in what might be a long and rather costly war. We know that we will be able to defeat ISIS if we try. We know that we will be able to completely destroy ISIS if we put our military on the ground. We have the strongest military in the world by far. We have to do this. We have to lead the world in this attack. Because we are spending way more on our military than everyone else. We have the most disciplined military. We have the strongest military. This has to happen. This needs to happen. Congress needs to pass a formal declaration of war against the Islamic State before this gets even more out of hand. In these 3 years that ISIS has been a big issue, we haven't done anything. We've sent maybe 50 special operation units. We haven't sent nearly enough because President Barack Obama doesn't want to be looked at as starting another war. But quite honestly, this war is so necessary. Now, if you don't know my views, normally I am definitely against invading other countries and invading the Middle East. But this is a necessary time. ISIS has grown to be a threat that affects not just us, they affect the entire civilized world. ISIS has claimed that they have insurgents in every single civilized nation. They say that they have them in Germany. They say they have them in Belgium, and we can see that. They say they have them in France. We can also see that. They say they have them in England. They say they have them in the US. They say they have them in all of our allies. We cannot sit around and see if this actually comes true. Because this will come true. Attacks will happen in all of these countries that I just listed if we do not start putting boots on the ground in the Middle East. We need to have a huge coalition of these nations to be able to fight ISIS. We need to have boots on the ground. We need to have air support. And quite honestly, this will solve 2 issues. If we go in there and we take out ISIS, we will be able to actually set up safe zones within Syria to be able to keep refugees there. As we can see, right now ISIS is using the refugee systems, the programs, to be able to get into the civilized nations. So if we do this, we set up these safe zones in Syria, we will be able to have those refugees stay in their homeland. They won't have to go to other nations with completely different cultures. Because we can see that these refugees are not assimilating into civilized culture. They come from a culture where they're still beheading women for being raped. They're beheading many people for simple crimes that they should just do a couple weeks. The Middle East right now is stuck in the Middle Ages. The Islamic State is stuck in the Middle Ages. We cannot have this continue. We cannot have ISIS continuing this when they are going to attack not just the US, they are going to attack Germany, they are going to attack England. President Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have said that we shouldn't be doing this. They have said that putting boots on the ground is a horrible option. They have said that invading the Middle East to attack the Islamic State will not result in anything. But the facts are, this will help us, this will help the refugee crisis, this will help the entire world. Many people have claimed that this will be the next world war, a coalition of many nations throughout the entire world fighting against the Islamic State. And you know what? They're right. Because this has to be a coalition of many nations, but it has to happen soon. Belgium is a member of NATO. So I suggest that we act on Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. If we act on this article, then we will be able to actually invade the Middle East and take out ISIS. We cannot have this continue, and as I've said before, this is the only option. So sticking on this topic, the left continues to say that refugees are, we have to help them. The left continues to say that they are innocent, and the left continues to say that we have to take them in. President Barack Obama has said that we have to take in upwards of 250,000 of them. But until we solve this issue with ISIS, we are not able to take in these people. Because just the possibility of even 1% of them being a terrorist is way too much. Just the possibility of any of these people coming to the U.S. is not allowed. We cannot allow these people to be next to us, to be our neighbors, to be next to our loved ones, our family members. The left is afraid to offend terrorists. What does that say about them? What does it say about the liberals in our country that they are more afraid about offending a terrorist organization than protecting our nation? It's outrageous that they continue to censor us. They continue to say that we're not allowed to speak out against these extremists, these radical jihadists. It is outrageous that they continue to say that we cannot have this.
Hey.
I have a caller right now. What is your name and where are you from?
Hey, I'm Chucky Bisbee.
All right, sorry about that, guys. That is actually someone that I had a discussion with recently on my Instagram page. He is actually a scammer, and so I am sorry about having him call this program right now. So to continue this right now, we can see that this refugee issue, as I was talking about before, has to end, and this is the only way to do it. And you know what? That is bringing me right up to the time when I have to go to commercial break. So thank you for staying with me here on the Wise Conservative Show, and do not go anywhere.
The idea behind Youth Revolt is to let them, these liberal professors, let them know that we are here and we're ready to fight.
Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
This is Dakota Wise, co-host of The Wise Conservative Show, here with an exclusive preview.
I can guarantee that all of these illegal executive actions that President Obama has tried to take would be ruled legal, and the president would be allowed to legislate instead of executing the law that the Congress and the American people have put up in front of him.
For more content, find us at Spreaker.com/TheWiseConservative.
Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday nights, for a conservative outlook on pop culture and American politics. Together we can reinstitute values back into our nation's young people and help create an alternative path away from the mainstream liberal agenda. Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights, only on Youth Revolt.
Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. Once again, I am your host, Connor Wise. So I'm going to be moving subjects from what I was talking about before. So today, it actually just ended not too long ago. My city was involved with a hostage situation. It happened not too far away from my house. And so I'm going to just tell you this little story here. So the shooter apparently was aiming for his ex-girlfriend at a local Office Depot. He missed with the shot and he hit a random person in the Office Depot. The random person was shot in the hand and is at a hospital at the moment. So the man then fled the store with his ex-girlfriend as a hostage. He kept his gun to the back of the ex-girlfriend and fled a few streets over. So this lasted for, well, a few hours, actually. It lasted for a few hours with police and the suspect in kind of a standoff. The police, after a while, brought in 2 armored vehicles, and they surrounded the man, and they started negotiating with him. He was not cooperating, and he continued to hold the weapon to the back of his ex-girlfriend. So about an hour ago, I would say, maybe a little over an hour ago, there were shots fired. I could hear them from my house, actually. There was about 10 of them. And these shots, they did kill the suspect, and the police quickly grabbed the hostage and took her out of the area. She walked on her own for about 2 or 3 steps, and then fell into the officer's arms, unconscious. They had to drag her out of the area and put her in the back of an armored vehicle and drove her 2 blocks over, where she was then loaded onto an ambulance helicopter. She has been taken to a nearby hospital, and I have not heard any word on what her condition is in. So I bring this up because, well, it is right next to my house. It's in my home city. And it's kind of just astounding that so much is going on here in my hometown. In December, our town was directly involved in the San Bernardino attacks. That happened the next city over. It was actually our city's police, the Redlands Police, who started the chase with the terrorists that day. They chased them from a house in Redlands back to San Bernardino. So all of these events are happening so close to where I live. All of these recent events are happening right next to my house, basically. And it's really actually showing the state that America is in right now. Because for the 7 years that President Barack Obama has been in office, America has slowly declined. We can see that there are more people on food stamps than ever before. It's up at about 40% of the entire nation is using food stamps. We can see that President Obama has changed our nation for the worst. Our debt has increased. Crime is up. Our mass shootings happen way more often than they used to. Hello, sir. Where are you from and who are you?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Where are you from and who are you?
Hi, my name is Dale Goodwin. I'm from Arkansas. I wanted to just say I feel very badly for everything that's going on in California. I wanted to get your thoughts here on the Obama administration.
All right, so I apologize once again. That was another person from the Instagram group that I talked about earlier. So because this has happened multiple times, I am not going to be accepting any more live calls for this episode. I apologize for that, but it has to be done. They have repeatedly called me during this episode, and I just want to continue with the serious, informational episode. But these immature scammers continue to call me multiple times while I am talking. So I'll go into detail about what they did after my current segment. So, as I was saying, our nation has declined tremendously under President Barack Obama. He has allowed unemployment to go up. The numbers you see in those facts do not count anyone who is on welfare. So we can see that these unemployment rates that are coming out are not actually true. The 4% is not a true number. There are many people on welfare and on food stamps, and our nation is quite honestly going into the dumps. And this is because of the failed policies of Barack Obama. He has not helped our nation whatsoever, and this directly ties in to this election that we're going through. We can see that Hillary Clinton has promised to continue what Barack Obama is doing. Hillary Clinton has promised to further what Barack Obama is doing. Now, I have been directly affected by all of this, the increased crime and everything. We can see that under Hillary Clinton, our nation will continue to decline, and our nation will continue to go further and further into the dumps. Now, right now it is looking like Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. Right now it is looking like Donald Trump will reach that 1237, or at least be nominated. If he is nominated, I will put my full support behind him. Right now I am supporting Ted Cruz, but I will put my full support behind Donald Trump if he is nominated. So I will support him, and that will, I hope everyone will, honestly. But I am seeing a lot of Never Trump group hashtags going on, and quite honestly, I find that childish and I find it stupid, because we have to have Trump in the office or some conservative in the office. Hillary Clinton, who will be the Democrat nominee, there's no doubt about that. Hillary Clinton will further what Barack Obama is doing to our nation. She will continue to diminish our gun rights. She will continue to bring us further and further into debt, and she will continue to disrupt our ties with Israel. So we can see that even if Donald Trump is the nominee, these Never Trump people who are former Rubio supporters or former Jeb Bush supporters, they have to let it go. Because at this point, it's kind of, in my eyes, it's a lesser of two evils. But Donald Trump would do a hell of a lot better as president than Hillary Clinton ever would. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I'm about to go on to a segment right now that kind of attacks Trump a little bit. Now, recently, there was an ad put up by an anti-Trump super PAC that was targeted at Mormons. The ad showed, it said that Melania Trump posed for pictures nude. This was designed to make the ultra-religious Mormon crowd not like Trump or his wife. So, just right after the ad went out, Donald Trump responded in a tweet, blaming it on Ted Cruz. But, well, quite honestly, this is a horrible mistake by Donald Trump. This ad had nothing to do with Ted Cruz whatsoever. He was not affiliated with it whatsoever. Trump then also retweeted a picture that basically said because Heidi Cruz isn't as beautiful as Melania Trump, that Cruz shouldn't be president. He directly attacked Heidi Cruz for her looks, and I have seen many of his supporters at the moment attacking Heidi Cruz for her looks. It is quite honestly astounding the amount of hate that is coming towards Trump and his wife right now because of an ad that Ted Cruz has denounced. Ted Cruz has said he had no affiliation with whatsoever. And this really, it astonished me that Trump acted so quickly and so harshly to this event. He didn't look at the facts before he sent out those tweets. He didn't look at the facts before he started attacking Ted Cruz's wife. And so it's really just quite sad that he responded like this. I have a sound clip right now of Ted Cruz responding to Donald Trump's attacks. Take a listen.
When he gets scared, he screams, he yells, often he curses, and he insults and attacks whoever is standing near him. And you're right, Donald does seem to have an issue with women. Donald doesn't like strong women. Strong women scare Donald. Now, Donald is scared a lot these days. Donald is scared to debate. He ran away from the last debate that was scheduled because he was scared of Megyn Kelly and because he was scared to defend his policies. Listen, Donald doesn't know much about foreign policy. The day before the Brussels terror attack, Donald called for America effectively withdrawing from NATO. That is utter foolishness. It would hand a massive victory to Putin and to ISIS. That weakness and unilateral surrender is indicative of someone that doesn't have a basic understanding of foreign policy. That's why Donald is afraid of debates. Because at debates, his lack of understanding of the basic knowledge necessary to keep this country safe, those become revealed at debates. When it comes to the economy, Donald has no idea how to bring jobs back to America. At debates, that becomes exposed. So he's scared of debates. He's scared of Megyn Kelly. But he's also scared of seeing Republicans uniting behind our campaign. You know, we just had an election a few days ago in Utah. We worked very, very hard. We were hoping to break 50%. If we broke 50%, we would get all of the delegates from Utah. Not only did we break 50%, we blew past that, got nearly 70%, 69% of the vote. Donald didn't like that, so you're right. He began lashing out at my wife, attacking Heidi directly. Let me be absolutely clear. Our spouses and our children are off bounds. It is not acceptable for a big, loud New York bully to attack my wife. It is not acceptable for him to make insults, to send nasty tweets late at night. And I don't know what he does late at night, but he tends to do these about 11:30 at night. I assume when his fear is at the highest point. But I also have to say, Heidi, she is the daughter of Christian missionaries. She lived in Africa as a little girl. She is an unbelievable mom. We've got two little girls who are 7 and 5. Caroline and Catherine. I'll tell you, our girls are going to come join us on the road later this afternoon. I'm not looking forward to telling the girls why Donald Trump is launching insults and attacks at their mommy. I'm not looking forward to that conversation.
So we can see that Ted Cruz came out full force and he condemned Donald Trump for these attacks. And quite honestly, that was a very good thing of him to do. I don't believe that Donald Trump was acting very presidential with these attacks, using ad hominem attacks against Ted Cruz's wife. That is just plain childish, is plain foolish. It is immature. Coming from someone who wants to be president of the United States, it just does not represent what he should be putting forth. It goes to show, well, it really represents everything that he's done throughout this entire campaign. He has based his campaign on entertainment. He has based his campaign on a few slogans and not actual policy details. I wrote an article on this. You can go visit it on youthrevolt.org. But what it basically says, and it shows the details of this, of Donald Trump not actually going over any details throughout his policies. He says a few key phrases. He says, we're going to build a wall. He says, we're going to make America great again. But he doesn't explain how we are going to do that. All he says is those few key phrases. He knows what riles up an audience, and he knows what gets them on their feet without him having to go into detail. Now, this is just, it's worked for him, but it's not what should be happening. He is ruining how America should be responding to campaigns. We should be looking at the details of people's policies so we know what they're going to do when they are president of our country. We should be looking at how their tax plan actually works. We should be looking at how their foreign policy works. I couldn't tell you what Donald Trump's foreign policy is whatsoever, besides banning all Muslim immigration. That's all he's really talked about. Besides, he also does say another key phrase. We're going to get ISIS. We're going to be good on ISIS. We're going to kill ISIS. That's all he says. He says nothing more about it. Donald Trump does not go into detail enough. He has based his campaign entirely on insults and ad hominem attacks instead of substance. And this is just not how a presidential campaign should go. That being said, if we look at other candidates, such as Ted Cruz, he has laid out his plans. He has laid out the details of his plans, and you can actually read it. You can see how it's going to work, how it's not going to work, and that's how a campaign should be run. Not throwing attacks at someone's wife. Not throwing attacks at someone's personal life. That is a horrible way to run a presidential campaign. That is a horrible way to prove that you are ready to be the leader of the civilized world. It really pains me that Donald Trump has gone this route with his campaign. Because I am sure he could, with all of these experts that he's paying. He has so much money. He is buying so many experts. With all of that money, I'm sure he could come up with some really good plans on how to defeat ISIS or how to protect the border. But he doesn't tell the voters what those plans are. If he actually laid out details, he would be able to bring in a lot more people from the Never Trump campaign. He would be able to bring in a lot more people who are independent, a lot more people who are undecided. And that's what we need in a candidate. Just as I said earlier, though, if he is nominated, yes, of course, I will support him. He is definitely better than a Hillary Clinton presidency. But he is not better than a Ted Cruz presidency. Because Donald Trump has not proved whatsoever that he is actually conservative. He has not proved it at all. Meanwhile, Ted Cruz in the Senate and throughout his campaign has proved that he continues to fight for conservative values, that he continues to fight for our liberties and for our freedoms. Ted Cruz has continued to stay a devout conservative. Donald Trump, just 12 months ago, was a Democrat. Donald Trump needs to prove to the voters that he is not going to continue these silly ad hominem attacks. He needs to prove to the voters that he is conservative, and he needs to prove to the voters that he will stand up for our freedoms and for our liberties. If he does that, I guarantee he can win the general election. But not until he changes the way that he is campaigning. Not until he does make that change will he be able to win the general election. If he goes to those debates against Hillary Clinton, then he will say these insults, but he won't say substance. And he is going to get called out by Hillary Clinton and by the leftist media. He is going to get called out on it, and he is going to lose a lot of could-be supporters, the independents, the undecided. He is going to lose that vote if he does not change the way he runs this campaign. And that is the main goal of the Republican Party. The main goal should be to get a Republican in office, no matter who. A Donald Trump or Ted Cruz presidency would be miles better than Hillary Clinton. And quite honestly, as much as it pains me to say, Ted Cruz is looking less and less likely to achieve a nomination. He has to basically win all of the states in the upcoming primaries until the end of the primaries. Kasich doesn't even have a chance. He has to win over 100% of the states to win, so he's not even in the picture. But if Donald Trump is nominated, he has to change the way he campaigns. It cannot be entertainment-based any longer. It has to be substance-based. It has to be policy-based. That way people know that he is the right choice for America and that conservative policies are the right choice for America. That being said, that's all I have for this episode of The Wise Conservative. Once again, I apologize for those callers. If you want to follow our Spreaker page, please go ahead and do so. Dakota Wise, my co-host, will be going again on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And once again, in a week, I will be here on Thursday. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of The Wise Conservative. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in, and God bless.